Welcome to our little exercise in preparing data from IntelliCage experiments for further analysis with FlowR. If you take this FlowR bundle, you first initialize the data preparation step, and then you can read in, for example, the raw archives produced from controller in IntelliCage software. For example, we have here 5 archives from a free adaptation period of an experiment. So we read them in, and takes some time, an hour, but after a while we will have these 4 archives in FlowR, as you see here. And for example, in many cases you might have the same experiment with a second batch of mice, in this case called FA2, and you can add these data without problems. And then if they are in, you can shortly check in this HTML window if all the data that you intended are there, and if there are not more. If there were more data, you could use these on the parameters and select the sessions you want to delete from them again. The session numbers are here. Also, you can have a short look if data contain what you want with an overview of the variables in the visits dataset. And then you can start preparing those data for further analysis. One thing that is practically useful with each experiment is to rename the categories that are given by the design. For example, in this case, the experimental design file name is taken as the name of the experiment, and usually you don't want to have such a thing. Well, maybe you want to call it FA1 and 2. And you can't change anything here, but it seems okay. And then you can apply the parameters, and the names will then be replaced by the ones that you typed in. Also, in experimental design files of IntelliCage Plus, you can define groupings only by the group variable, and you can see that the system automatically also takes for each batch the module as a potential grouping factor apart from the experiment and the group factor you typed in originally in the animal list. And you can also create a new one, an additional grouping factor, for example a treatment or something. So we go here and define a new treatment under treat. For example, you can take, say, the session, that's each archive if you have changed something, or if you want to test between cages. You can also use subjects, and then for each subject type in whatever you want. For example, if you take cage and apply the parameters, we can then under rename give a new name. Let's say this cage was drug 1 and there's drug 2. This cage was control, and the second experiment there was also a control, and other drugs. And then you can apply it, and you have an additional factor for data analysis. If for some reason you want to exclude times, maybe you want to start at a very specific time and go to a specific date time, you can change it here. Or maybe you do not like this onset, light onset and offset time, which the script takes from the environmental data that come with the archives. You can change it here too. But normally this is quite accurate. Anyway, you can change it, and you could also take out, maybe say, an animal which you later found out had some problems and should not be included in the analysis, something like that. You just unclick it and apply parameters, and then if everything is to your liking, you can, for example, check how the processed data, so those data which you have slightly edited, look like. As you see, there's a short overview of the real measures taken by the system, which is the visits, the sum of nose pokes and the sum of licks, just to check if there's some unusual thing, or maybe you have to exclude an animal because it didn't engage in any activity or something like that. And you can also see the sessions and data actually included for each batch in the processed data, just to check if they are what you wanted to. You can have a short look at the visiting timeline here, just in case somebody did not behave as he or she had to. You can have this also for the raw data, so that you can see if there's a difference, an unintended difference between the raw data and what you have defined by your processing steps. And you can also have the data tables, which are the same data tables that you get from Analyzer in the IntelliCage Plus system for later export, or I don't know, for some analysis you programmed yourself, for example. Also, you can shortly check what happened at the sensors, and where is this interactive graph? So you see for each cage what has been measured, and the illumination, and then the temperature sensor. There's another tab which is not useful here, it's called Gantt. You will get Gantt charts if you have many experiments. You will get the timeline which experiments have been done, but in this case we have only one for each batch. So if you are done like that, you can save those data, give it some name wherever you want to, and this was the FA test data, for example. And then later, for all the other workflows which analyze the data, we have some for data exploration, impulsivity, phenotyping, and so on. You can load those R data and then analyze them. In case you have only those data and you want to get to back to the raw data, so the original archives you put in are always stored with these data, so you can revert to them. And you can also read in the first place not only the original archives, but you can also read in the output folders from IntelliCage Plus analyzer. And in case you have very old data, there's a former data version you can use at former archives for those data. So now we are prepared to go on to further analysis with the further steps which will be exhibited in further screencasts. Thank you.